Today we're going to begin working on Chapter 1, Lesson 5, in which we're going to be working on solving one-step equations. When solving one-step equations, it's important to understand what an inverse operation is. And as you recall from 6th and 7th grade when you worked on solving equations, an inverse operation is the opposite of the current operation. Therefore, when we look at addition, the opposite of addition would be subtraction. So subtraction is what's going to help us undo what's already being done. So when we see x plus 5, in order to solve that equation, we have to think about, first of all, where's the variable? Well, the variable is right here next to 5. What is surrounding the variable? And that is plus 5. So we have to do the inverse operation of adding 5, which is subtracting 5. When you solve equations, the most important thing that you do is keeping an equation balanced. If I subtract 5 on one side, I have to subtract 5 on the other side. Some people like to draw a line right down the middle where the equal sign is to help you keep track of the left side and the right side. So very important that you keep your work organized and you know what your numbers mean. So if I have plus 5 and I subtract 5, that's going to cancel out and leave me with x all by itself. On the right side of the equation, I have 20 minus 5, which is 15. I have isolated the variable x, which means x is all by itself. So now I know x is equal to 15. Our second problem here shows 3 plus x. In elementary and in the beginning of 6th grade, you might have thought, well, 3 plus what gives you 18? But now that we're really working on the standard of solving equations, we want to understand the process behind solving the equation and keeping the equation balanced. So again, we want to isolate the variable x. We want x all by itself, so we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. Why subtract 3? Because 3 is what is with the x, and our goal is to get everything that's on the same side of the equal sign with the x gone. We want that to disappear. So 3 minus 3 makes 0. Now we know x is completely by itself, and 18 minus 3 is 15. The variable x is now isolated, and we have an answer of x equals 15. Today we're going to also work on when we have equations that have decimals. The process of solving an equation is going to be the exact same as if it were a whole number. However, you have decimals. So again, identify the variable so you can see x is here. It doesn't matter if x is on the left side of the equal sign or the right. The goal is to get it by itself. So because it shows plus 2 and 8/10, to undo the plus 2 and 8/10, we have to subtract 2 and 8/10. And if we do it to one side, we have to also do it to the other side. So we're subtracting 2 and 8/10. That cancels. X is isolated on the right side. It's completely by itself. And then 5 and 4/10 minus 2 and 8/10. As we learned earlier, we have to line up our decimals and subtract. So we have to borrow from the 5 to make it 4. We now have 14 minus 8, which gives us 6. The decimal moves straight down, and 9 minus 2 is 7. So it shows now 7.6 is equal to x. We want to read it from left to right, so we're going to rewrite it as x equals 7 and 6/10. Our next problem shows 7 and 2/10 equals x plus 1/10. So we're going to subtract 1/10 from both sides. It's going to cancel here. X is now isolated by itself. 7 and 2/10 minus 1/10 gives me 7 and 1/10. So 2 minus 1, decimal drops straight down. 7 minus nothing is 7. And then rewrite it so you read it from left to right. X equals 7 and 1/10. So that's what you do when you have addition. It will be the same idea if you have fractions. For example, if I have a fraction that says x minus 2 4/10 equals 7. Shows subtraction here, so the inverse operation would be to add 2 4/10. If I add 2 4/10 to the already minus 2 4/10, that cancels. And then my decimal in the 7 is here. I can always add zeros in after if I need to. And then I'm going to add 2 4/10. And decimal lines up. We have 4. 7 plus 2 is 9. So x equals 9 4/10. Now I know that the notes that we just talked about were addition. So what did we do to solve it? It was subtraction. In this case, it was a subtraction problem. What did we do to solve it? We added. So you can see that the inverse is always the opposite. So the next one that we're going to get into is subtraction. Based on the last problem that I completed, what is the inverse to subtraction? Yes, it is addition. So to undo subtraction, we will have to add. Whether it's a whole number, whether it's a fraction, or whether it's a decimal, you will always add if subtraction is shown. So this one shows x minus 5. So we have to understand that whatever sign is in front of the 5, whether it looks like a negative or whether it looks like a subtraction sign, we're going to treat it the same. So to undo minus 5, we have to add 5 to both sides. This cancels, and x equals 25. You can always check your work too. If I put my answer of 25 in for x, is 25 minus 5 equal to 20? The answer is yes, so we know our solution works. We're going to move down to the bottom left-hand corner. We have x minus 8. So we see minus 8, we have to add 8 to both sides. Minus 8 plus 8 makes 0. We've isolated our variable, x is by itself, and then 4 plus 8 is 12. Last thing we want to do is rewrite it so that we're reading it from left to right. So x equals 12. Now let's go to the top problem. We have 3 minus x. Yes, this is a subtraction problem, but what you have to do is you have to identify what is with the x. The 3 is. Well, is that 3 positive or negative? Because there's no sign in front of the 3, you know that that's a positive 3. So we need to move that positive 3 so that x is by itself. So we have to subtract 3. Subtract 3. That's going to cancel out. But what you'll notice here is x still has something in front of it, and that's that negative sign. So when we drop down the x, we also have to drop that negative sign because that negative sign has not been undone. So then on the right side, we're going to do 18 minus 3, which gives us 15. So this tells me the opposite of x is 15. Well, what's the opposite of x? Or of negative x? It would be x. So the opposite of negative x is positive x. Then you can also think, well, what's the opposite of 15? Well, it's negative 15. Mathematically, the way you would solve that is you would multiply both sides by negative 1. A negative times a negative makes this x positive, and negative 1 times 15 makes that negative 15. Therefore, x equals negative 15. Our next example shows negative x minus 1. So we look at the sign in front of the 1, and it's minus. So to undo that, we have to add 1 to both sides. That cancels. Notice there's a negative sign in front of the x, so we're left with negative x. And then 2 plus 1 is 3. So think about how we would solve that mathematically. We would multiply both sides by negative 1, or we would say, what's the opposite of negative x? X. What's the opposite of 3? Negative 3. And then rewrite it from left to right, x equals negative 3. All right, looking at multiplication, we know that the inverse operation of multiplication is division. So to undo any problem that shows multiplication, we have to divide. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to read what the problem is. So this is 2x. What is the operation in between the 2 and the x? Because there's no addition sign, subtraction sign, or division sign, we have to assume that that's multiplication. So this tells us 2 times x. How do we undo multiplication? Division. It was 2 times x. So to undo multiplying by 2, we're going to divide both sides by 2. 2 divided by 2 cancels out and makes 1. 1 times x is just x, so we have x left. 18 divided by 2 is 9. And then substitute that in. Does it make sense? Is 2 times 9 18? Yes, it is, so we know we have a correct answer. Second problem, 6 times x equals 42. So we're going to undo the multiplication of 6 by dividing both sides by 6. X equals 7. Well, is 6 times 7 42? Yes, so we have a valid answer, 7. Now again, it doesn't matter if the setup is a multiplication problem with whole numbers, with decimals, or with fractions. We still solve it the same way. This next one says 3/4 times x. So to undo 3/4 times x, we are going to divide both sides by 3/4. Divide by 3/4. Well, when you have 3/4 divided by 3/4, what that really looks like is 3/4 divided by 3/4. Remember, keep, change, flip. So you would multiply by 4/3. So whenever you're dividing with fractions, it's really multiplying by the reciprocal. You'll notice here that our 3's cancel out to make 1, our 4's cancel out to make 1, and we're left with 1. Because 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 times x is x, or 1x. So now if we multiply 12 by 4/3, because what is 12 divided by 3/4? It is the same thing as multiplying by 4/3. Keep, change, flip. We can write this as over 1. You can cross simplify, a 1 here, a 4 here. Multiply straight across. We have 16 as a numerator, 1 on the denominator. So we have an answer of 16. And then rewrite it as x equals 16. Is 3/4 of 16 12? Yes, it is. Go ahead and pause the screen right now, and I want you to try this last problem on your own. Hopefully what you should have seen here is that 2/3 is being multiplied by x. So to undo that, we would have to divide both sides by 2/3, which really means you're multiplying both sides by the reciprocal of 3/2. The 3's cancel out to make 1's, the 2's cancel out, so all you're left with is x. We've isolated the variable x. If you think of 3/2 times 8 over 1, you can cross simplify to make a 1 here and a 4 here. Multiply straight across. 3 times 4 is 12. 1 times 1 is 1, so x equals 12. And then rewrite it so that it's read from left to right. Now, whether you have a decimal or a fraction, if you identify right away that this is a multiplication problem because there's not a sign in between the number and the variable, you know you have to divide. So 4.2 is being multiplied to x. So we have to divide both sides by 4 2/10. Divide by 4 2/10. Now, this cancels, you're left with x. And we are left with 84 divided by 4 2/10. As you recall from lesson 4, when we divide with decimals, our divisor, our second number, has to be whole. So we have to move our decimal 1 to the right, which means we also have to move it 1 to the right in the number 84. So we now have 840 divided by 42. So now that we're dividing 840 divided by 42, we can set that up, solve our division problem with decimals, and we get an answer of 20. Therefore, x equals 20.